I think we are ready to get going. Are you guys ready to go? This is going to be fun. We have a great guest today, and we just mentioned to Hailey, who is our guest, that a lot of times this is a smaller group, but our list that people listen to after has grown over to 700. So we're really excited to have a couple of people live, knowing that most people listen to after the fact. So Hailey is our guest today, and Hailey reached out to us with kind of a unique situation. And one of the reasons I was so fascinated in talking to Hailey and bringing her on uh, is her story. And both Jamie and Lisa, your stories are just as intriguing, and we've had you speak to our reinventors. Hailey, when I find her in a situation that she's in. It's a little unique, so let me kind of explain it, and then we'll talk to Hailey about it because we're going to do some live coaching. There's one part that I perceive where Hailey is trying to invent and blossom something. Is that right, Hailey? There's something that you're trying to invent and make it happen. It's like imagined, and you want it to be into a reality.
Correct, like the internal part.
Yes. And then there's another part of your character and the reinvention, like you have an identity and you've been authentic in a lot of ways, and now you're reinventing how that looks and how that manifests. Is that fair?
Correct. I think I just mixed those up. But yes, so the external I'm trying to invent. I'm coming into being with that. But then my internal, I'm trying to reinvent like who I know I am and like connecting with like my soul and my purpose and my mission.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. Thank you for reiterating that. So that's kind of where we find you today with two tracks, reinvention and invention going on at the same time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then what brought you to the table to look for us? What's the current work situation, or give us kind of the scenario so Jamie and Asia and Lisa can understand where you're coming from. Even Shannon doesn't know this, I don't think. So give us the download.
So I come from a long line of various following impulses and kind of seeing where life has led me. I'm grateful for all the opportunities I've had along the way to be in like a very supportive role to those around me, a caregiver to multiple different populations. I've worked with kids and adults and physical abilities and mental disabilities and just trying to be like a voice for the voiceless. And I think a lot of that stems from like my personal experience and trying to just be like seen as a person and give others the opportunity to be seen. And I've definitely followed kind of a free flowing wherever it feels right to follow. But somewhere along the lines, I feel like I kind of got off track of that. I started listening to the needs of a lot of others and pouring from an empty cup, which has been hard because I like to get filled by pouring. So finding that balance has been, I'd say, like the most common or recent struggle. But I
Hmm.
feel like right now I'm inventing the external for where I want to go, but I'm reinventing the connection to myself and really trying to align with what feels right and which paths to follow based on like where I feel like I'm coming from.
Got it. And can you tell us what is one of the biggest shifts that's told you that you're reinventing the internal?
That's a good question. Um, it's hard to explain that honestly. It's just kind of that mind, heart, gut connection. It just feels like some things are like, this doesn't feel right. Like I might be obligated or feeling guilty for not doing it, but at the same time, like there's just a clear, like whole body connection that just feels like this is the other path that I really need to follow, despite like what my external looks like, and just kind of coming back into alignment. It's actually a very aligning weekend and filled with a lot of meditation and group collective conscious co-creation thinking, and it just really helped me recenter into like the moment and who I feel like
Hmm.
I am. And
Hmm. So it sounds like it's more of an innate internal, more of a hunch. You don't have to look at anything on the outside and point to it and say, I feel this need for reinvention. You feel it. You know it's your truth. It's settled into you. So you're kind of unshakable about knowing this is right for you to be looking at this, correct?
I'm trying to honor that as well. Like there's no way to really explain it with words. I feel like it's just like the external won't reflect necessarily that internal part, which is
Mhm.
really hard sometimes. But it's
Mhm.
like once you get in touch with like whatever that is, um, and then like connect with that, like there's just really I feel like a more clear like understanding of what's required of you and like the puzzle piece you play in the overall picture.
Wow. And thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that you're working on honoring it. Like it's not enough to know it, you're working on honoring it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go to the other part where you're inventing the external. Give us an update on what that scenario's like.
So I'm trying to become more clear with like a mission, I guess. I'm trying to align a vision, which was like more aligned with that part of me that I'm reinventing, but also connecting to like more of a solid vision for where it might be going and the mission that it's trying to accomplish. Like I feel like all these parts in my life are kind of starting to merge and I'm meeting new people that seem to have like these different tribal aspects and like together we're going towards just like something that's beneficial to the whole without relying on the parts. It's like a co-creative, just moving forward. Like there's no way to get to the creation without the co-creation getting us there.
Okay. So you're in a very fluid space, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do for those of you who are listening and watching, I'm going to jump in and start doing some of the coaching. So if you joined us today because you want to follow along and get some of the coaching, answer the questions that I give to Hailey. Answer them for yourself. Is that okay, Hailey, if we let them kind of hitchhike with us through this?
I would more than appreciate that since we're not alone
Oh,
in this.
yeah, you are not alone. Before we go there, I just want you to know I understand. And we did a tiny bit of pre-work. This is not scripted. We haven't coached together. We just met so we could be better prepared. So when you guys come on the call, we can chat in a way that serves everybody on the call. That it's authentic, it's real time, and that while we're not polished, at least we know that we have a direction and a rudder. We're not going to do abstract random in front of you and then hope that gave you value. We're going somewhere, and it's going to be organic. So a baseline to know is we've identified with you, Hailey, between that last call and now that you have three really strong parts of you. One is super conscientious and deliberate. That part of you doesn't move fast. It wants to make sure that you have answers and you have information. So when you do co-create or when you go in a direction, it's been processed. Is that a fair way to put it?
100%.
Okay,
Definitely
so
in charge of the organizational detailed note keeping.
exactly. And so that part of you, we want to have, be at the table today. We want to invite that part of you. So those of you who are listening, think about parts of you that you've either worked with me on or you know about yourself that you want to bring to the table to help answer your the questions that we're going to be posing to Hailey. The next thing is you said it more than once, but there's a part of you that's been a lifelong support for others, and you've put others as a priority. And I feel like you're in a place where maybe there's more going to be more equilibrium where you prioritize yourself as well as prioritizing others. Is that something that's happening?
100%, because I know I can't be there for anybody. Like they say, like you can't pour from an empty cup. So
Okay, so the part of you that's ready to even up the way you support yourself can be at the table then. Okay. And then finally, there's a part of you that really gets jazzed in supporting, motivating, inspiring, uplifting others. Like you came here to shine a light, not to dampen other people's light. And you know that part of you, right?
yes.
Yeah. And you went right to your heart, and I was going to say it, but you did it already. It seems like this part is really big in your heart, like that lives inside the neurons of your heart, your enteric or your heart brain, your
Yeah.
cardiac brain. Yeah. So you get to decide who's going to answer this, if it's going to be for both the internal and the external focus. But the question I'm going to first ask for you is, in your heart of hearts, at this moment in time, how would you describe what you're going for? What's the big picture you're going for? And this is the first question you guys can all answer while Hailey's answering it.
I'm jotting this down right now because I think
Yep.
what I write. Um,
Yes. And you're leaning into those pieces we just talked about that are conscientious and need to have it deliberately noted before you say it, right? So let's
Yeah.
honor that.
Yeah. The first thing that definitely pops to mind, just as you're speaking and as I write, is I want to be of the highest benefit to those around me, and I want to serve like the highest good, not for myself, but for as many people as can be affected by it. Just so that at like a group collective level, we can rise to meet what we're experiencing around us. And I feel like the best way forward is together, and I just want to be a part of the growth and the movement towards the best benefit of like all living beings everywhere.
Okay, so what you're really going for is a very high calling. You're going for the highest benefit, the greatest good of many people, and you want to do it with others.
Correct.
So you have that written down, right?
Yes.
So let's say you guys are okay. So here's the next question for everybody. Let's say you guys are together, you're going for the highest benefit, you're working in a co-creative nature. What do you see happening different in the future because you guys have been active?
I think there's a large, the ends justify the means, but I feel like the only way to get to an end that we all kind of agree on is only through the means. And I've seen a couple different communities cropping up where like the way they get to where they're going is why we get to there and why it is okay and better for all of us as a system. Because I don't think you can just achieve your goal with like and have an aftermath of the means. I feel like the way that you get there, the means itself, is how we get to the ends that we're gonna get to because we want to be there.
Okay. So you guys, everybody is ending at the same place, and
Yeah,
the end justifies the means.
the means justify the end.
The means just to tell us what means are you seeing that you'd like to share?
May I give an example of a lady I met out in Colorado named Joy?
Please.
So I had been out there for a beautiful gathering for a musician at Red Rocks, and the community that had gathered there was just special, and there was like a mutual understanding between us. And I had met a lady named Joy, and Joy had begun a food rescue and distribution community mission where she would rescue food that was to be wasted. And she collected said food from various different places and then distributed in like a food pantry type manner to those in the community that had no food. And when I actually asked her if she needed any help. And she's like, oh, yeah, tomorrow we have a distribution day. So I went and volunteered with her. But while I was there, I noticed that her main goal was not to rescue and give food, it was to build a community based on sustainable practices and a way that people could come together. And what I saw that day was only that. And granted, there was a lot of distribution and saving of food, which is the sustainability behind it. But the way that she created a community that was grounded in just a collective connection was something I had not experienced to a large degree anywhere else in my life. And just to be a part of that for even a day or two was inspiring beyond all means. And she calls it Joy's Kitchen. And it really was. She had created a little pocket within this bigger society that is based on principles that I don't feel like are in the best benefit of the earth or the people on it. It's just not sustainable. But she had somehow, over time, made this community, or she'd gathered enough space to have these people come together in a connection in a way that was best serving of not only themselves, the planet, and trickled out. Like I feel personally touched by what they were doing there to the point where I'm trying to help trickle it out here. Like she was creating like the ripples and the waves.
Mm.
Um,
So the
yeah,
means was like getting the food and rescuing the food, but the end would be a sustainable practice in a community. That's what you're talking about.
correct,
Okay.
correct.
And it sounds like Joy really inspired you.
100%.
What do you think is Joy's why?
It was to create community connection, just with like the sole purpose of people feeling connected and being able to create a sustainable practice that would last.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah. So what would you say is your why for wanting this high benefit togetherness effort that we're talking about today from you? What's your
I
why?
would I would say it's very similar. I feel like at the end of the day, we are of the earth. We are earthlings. Um, there's no way we can sustain ourselves without sustaining the planet itself. And to shift from like a capitalistic, this is monetary based and this is ours because it is, and I put a flag in the ground versus like this is shared land. We are shared earthlings. I feel like just to remind ourselves that we are in this together is the only way that we can move forward in any sort of sustainable way and create meaningful connections and the ability just to relate to one another on like a very soulful level, like beyond the physical earthling stuck in brainwashed systems. And I don't mean to
So,
say it like that necessarily, but it just feels like we need to break free from these conditions. And the first step is awareness. I always say that like the first step is knowing, because then you
mhm.
have the ability to make a conscious choice about where you're going next. And I would just love to raise as much awareness as possible.
So there, I heard several whys in there. Raise awareness. And then underneath that, even deeper would be some of the roots to sustain planets so that you can sustain humans to have a soul level experience here. Catching what you're putting down? Okay. So
Yeah, I'm
there,
writing it down as we're talking
okay,
too.
good, good. I'm going to take your words and send back. So write them down when they come back because
Thank you.
when you say them, you don't always capture them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank goodness Shannon's recording this. You can go back and listen. So,
Deal.
so this is a very noble what and why, correct?
Correct.
I mean, I feel it in you that you know how noble it is, how honorable it is. So let's go to and by now, hopefully those of you following along, you've answered the why question as well. Why is the thing that you said you were going for important to you? And what would it look like in the future? So those would be answers that you probably have in front of you now. And you're keeping up with Hailey here. So
Much
Hailey,
as I'm keeping up.
yeah, let's go to the next question, which is how are you going to know in the future if you've been successful?
Something I had jotted down just now while we were talking is like you do as noble, I believe, which is hard for me to kind of take into myself because I think the feeling on a confidence level perhaps was lacking. I could feel like not good enough a lot, and I've been working through a lot of that, but the nobility kind of struck me. But I feel like at the end of the day, like anything less than the biggest impact I can make feels like a disservice almost to why I'm here. Um, if you don't mind reiterating the statement or question you had made,
Yeah, how are you going to know if you're successful? The end of
um,
the and down the road, how will you know if you did what you said you wanted to do?
and that's a tough one because I still wonder that right now, even like, am I doing what I should be or can be doing? Don't shut on
Mhm.
me. I shouldn't shut on you, but like do I feel like the to those around me and to myself, am I doing the best that I can? I feel like I have a little bit more discipline in me that could be beneficial, but I think the fact that a lot of people in my life call me a generator specifically kind of makes me feel like I'm onto something. Because even though I might not be doing specific actions, the people around me that have told me the generator comment seem to feel an inspiration from whatever it is that I'm exuding. And to me, that is a great tell that I'm at least tapping into something. And I may not being the actionable parts of it, but at least I can be a behind the scenes
Mhm.
kind of energetic promoter of them to follow their actions.
Okay. Can I play back what I heard?
100%.
Okay, so some things that you might use as your own metrics for success. And if you have a copy of my book, I'm going to look at it really quick. I think this is chapter 7. Um, and I want to be correct on this. No, it's actually chapter 8. So, metrics of success that you've come up with is you said something about answering the question, am I doing the best I can? So you might ask yourself that in the future. And if you say yes, you can put your head on the pillow and know you did the best you could that day, or at the end of a week or the end of a project. Did I do my best that I could at this moment? That's a metric that you just gave us. Because I think for you, especially as we know that there's a part of you that needs to be inspired by what you're doing and inspire others, it's going to be nice for you to have these metrics where you can know if you're winning or not, right? Because you're probably going to bite off something really big, and you probably are. And so you need those guideposts along the road to know I'm on track, I'm on track, I'm on track.
And that's the big
Another,
thing, especially living such a
yeah,
fluid kind of
yeah.
lifestyle. It gets me to where I'm trying to go. Like I don't really know how to metric or measure like the guideposts along the way. Like it's really hard to quantify. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to give you these new metrics that came out of your mouth and you can quantify it that way, even if it's anecdotal, right? You can answer the question, have I been a generator? Am I generating more energy than there was before? Am I generating more action through others? So you can check in on that generator. Um, you can check in on the energetics. Are the energies around myself and other people in these projects? Is it shifting in a positive way? That's another way to look at that generator. And then there is still this little thing that you said, I want to make something shift. So noting when you are present and active and then something shifts, that could be another way for you to know that you did generate a success marker. How's that?
I would like you to expand if you don't mind on the last one specifically, because I think it kind of ties into that second one you had made about the energies. Because it's more of like, am I making something shift versus am I influencing something to do that? It's almost like a thought to an action, it feels like. And I was wondering if when you had said something shift, if you meant like a small specific internal or like a bigger external as a group or like beyond that, I guess if you wouldn't mind elaborating.
Yeah, one happened this morning for me. I have a client from Ireland and she took some time off to visit family. And sometimes it's hard for a voice memo because I leave voice memos for her to get to her when she's on the island. She also works in Florida, so she's back and forth. And she's an executive, so she travels a bit. And I sent her a message last week. She just got it this morning when she returned from Ireland. And she listened to it and she said, Lyn, it made my day. There was an activity you gave me for the first 60 seconds of the morning that I needed to instigate. That made a difference this morning. And you're such a good listener that I always feel like I'm heard and understood, and that our coaching's making a difference because I'm gaining confidence in the way that I'm analyzing and seeing the work that I'm trying to do here in the United States. Okay, for me, that was very good in knowing that something had shifted. Could we pinpoint it and look at more dollars earned by her company? Could we pinpoint it and say more of the people she's managing stay employed and there's not a turnover? You know, the anecdotal notes from her came back to me and I was like, we're on track. We're on track. That voice memo that I sent to her last week that she finally listened today made an impact. So there's something shifted in a positive direction. So when you're out there looking for it, you can hear it and it might be somebody else. Like sometimes we don't know if we're making a difference until somebody relays it back to us. Does that make sense?
Definitely. There is one of the ladies I caregive for in Madison. So I jump back and forth in Wisconsin. It's a couple hours this way, a couple hours that way. And I
Right.
have radically different parts. But there was something that this woman in Madison had said. She said, never stop planting the seeds because even though you don't know where, there's gardens growing.
Mm, there you go. There you go.
You
There
may
you
never see you may never see it, but just to keep doing what you're doing to plant seeds is enough. That
Yeah,
somewhere someday perhaps that garden is full blossom.
exactly. So watch for that. That will be one of your metrics for success. You have to look outside yourself to see these metrics taking root. Let's talk right now about the skills that you bring to the table, the experiences you bring to the table, the capacity you bring to the table to help you do this thing that's for the highest benefit of many people. What do you already have that you know you can lean into and use?
I have a lot of experience working with populations that have different communication styles. than we would consider average or typical, I guess, in the society. Um, a lot of the times people have been nonverbal, they've been partially verbal, they have used hands to control a keyboard to make them. There was one gentleman in particular, he had no ability to talk, and when we gave him a computer, he wrote books. He had spent years and years trapped inside of himself, and when he was given the ability, he could write books. And I feel like a big part of what I do is to help others communicate in ways that feels they can actually get across what they're trying to say, regardless of if they can verbally speak. Art has been a big influence. So even if it's in a professional setting or a more personal setting, just giving people the space that they can express their truth. I feel like I've been very patient with those things and very willing to listen and just adapt. Adaptability is a huge thing, and the patience really, because I know it's in all of us. It's just a matter of giving the time and space for it to come through for all of us,
Hmm.
because everybody's voice is part of the puzzle. We only have our one piece, but without every individual piece, we can't create the full thing.
Yeah, for sure. So those are a lot of gifts. You have an understanding and an appreciation for people. You have experience with nonverbal individuals that are using keyboards to speak and write. You have experience in supporting people through art. You know how to give space. Where do you feel like if you needed to, you could get more experience or training or skill? Is there anything that comes to mind? And I'm not saying that you need to. I'm just wondering in this discussion, does this make you reflect on some area that you need to bolster?
Um, Definitely being with somebody that has more experience than I do is the first thing that popped into my mind. While I was in college, they didn't offer specifically art therapy, but they did a dance and movement therapy. And I was really privileged to work with the professor there. And I ended up working with her one on one and her kid, even that she'd adopted. But there's just something to be said for the wisdom that comes with experience. And I
Hmm.
feel like just meeting up with somebody that has done it would give me a better guidance on how to do it. Um, that was just the first thing that popped into my mind, but really just finding an opportunity to learn and grow is kind of where I'm struggling right now because I've been in a rural setting and very much focused on more personal life stuff and neglecting the parts of myself that really feel like I'm growing beyond that. Um, so it's hard to say what is needed because I think I would like to know who is out there that may know what I might need better.
Okay. So that could actually be an action item is discovery, asking around who is out there, who's doing this, and then getting interviews. This sounds like, does that sound like an actionable piece?
Definitely.
Do you have some ideas of how you could start navigating that question about who's out there?
Um, so I'm very new to technology, so thank you for letting me experiment with that today.
You're
Um,
welcome.
I don't have a lot of presence on the internet, so that's been always really hard because I know a lot of people connect that way now, and it's like find people. I'm very big on word of mouth, but there's not a lot of opportunities up here in like the rural settings, which is kind of why I wanted to make an imprint and maybe be one of those people.
Hmm.
Um, but I feel like my time has not come because it's not presented itself quite yet. Like I'd like to bring more to the table. So I think that that teacher, that professor I had, whenever that was, would be a really good place to start because she's invited me into her world multiple times and I've never fully accepted that invitation, I guess. And maybe she might have somebody else from there, or I could explore more on the internet itself.
Mm. So let's just recap on where we've been today and see if this is the next right action step for you, Hailey.
Okay.
We know that you're going, your target in life, what you're doing here right now is something for the highest benefit to sustain the planet, sustain human life on a soul level, and you want to do it with other people. And what you're really going for is to be able to use some of your skills, like doing the best you can, generating the energy, energizing some shifts to occur. You have experiences, you have knowledge, and now it sounds like to make a bigger impact, you need to keep meeting people and find out who else is out there playing, who else is out there that can give you advice on what could be next. Like there's an opportunity to expand your opportunity to see what's possible, it sounds like. Am I tracking with you?
Yes, I feel like that's kind of the reason I ended up here in the first place, actually. So thank you.
You're welcome. That's great.
Past, past the
That's
comfort
exactly.
zone of whatever this is.
Yeah, good, good. So with those action items, what would you like to commit to doing in the next 24 hours?
I feel like there's a two-parter. I would like to sit with kind of the conversation we've had and probably pen and paper and kind of process it. I would also love to reach out to that professor I had mentioned. Um, Her name just keeps kind of popping into like my mind's eye. Um, so I think it'd be really beneficial just based on like the gut thing to reach
Mhm.
out to her.
Yeah, it sounds like your gut's telling you to do that. Your mind's eye is showing you that professor. So it sounds like you're sort of having that internal guidance you've been seeking for that. And then the sitting with the conversation, paper to pencil, sounds like you're being true to that authentic part of you that is reinventing into an even more informed, deliberate action taker. That you think about it to a degree, probably not overthink it. You could, but getting to just a place, yeah, right? How many of us just got seen? Yeah, I could see smiles on the screens. And find that law of enough, just enough deliberation, and you have your action items for the next 24 hours. Would you like me to check in with you tomorrow or maybe the end of the week by Friday and see how it's going?
I would love for that.
Okay,
I
so
think accountability and discipline are really important. Also things I'm working on for sure.
yes. And one of the things we discussed is that natural discipline. Like there's a part of you, Hailey, that is really big, and some of the people on the call can relate to this, really big at the imagining, really big at the visioning, really big at feeling inspired to take that action. And where you need to lean into support is the accountability of actually doing the action, taking the thought to action, as you said earlier. I think that's called praxis. So being in praxis and being able to move it from imagination to actual action.
That's a side story, but there's actually a woman that I encountered earlier, which is right before I encountered any of your work.
Yeah.
I actually think I saw your TED Talk years ago, but I think it's funny that you came back up. But her thing she worked with recently, she was putting on a seminar as like a 4-day process, but she worked through Praxis. So I
Mm,
forgot because I just actually re-met her a weekend or two ago, coincidentally. So I think there's something to be said for that. So I'm writing down Praxis for sure.
yeah, there you go. Looking at the all of the indicators and knowing there's some synchronicity, maybe the
So
coincidences are aligning. And I have a sense that that means something to you, that that's validating or affirming for you to get that those kind of signals. Is that correct?
it's like an inexplicable knowing. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Really well said, Haley. So Shannon, if you'll go to my schedule, do you want me to check tomorrow or Friday, Haley?
I know tomorrow probably Friday.
Okay. So Shannon's
Yeah.
going to put it on my Friday schedule. And what's the question you want me to ask or the set of questions?
One is like the simple, did you do the things you said you were gonna do?
Okay.
And the second one would probably be, if you did do those to the best of your ability, are you okay with what has resulted from those things?
Awesome. Thank you. Now I'm going to make the invitation to everybody on the call. If you want to put in chat really quickly questions that you want me to ask you on Friday, put them in the chat and Shannon will put them in my reminder on Friday when I reach out to Haley. And after I finish reaching out to Haley, I will reach out to you. So if there's anything you want me to hold you guys accountable to, you have the invitation to put it in chat. Shannon will put it in my notes, and on Friday, I'll reach out to you as well. All right, Haley, what's the value of coming on the call and being open to this live coaching session? How's it benefited you?
I just feel like gratitude overall for even this moment or how we all got here. Um, but I really just hope that through my processing, maybe somebody else can have that reflected back for their processing and just a fearless diving into the inner workings and maybe just a little hope or glimpse at what you're possible for. And I just thank you guys for allowing me the space to try to do the same.
Thank you. I'm
Mm.
going to write those down. We're all fearlessly diving into something that is possible, that we believe is possible. So thank you for putting words to that. Let's open up the mics and see if there's anybody who has questions and or comments. Anybody want to come off mute and share? Thanks, Asia, for that. I appreciate that response. And Jamie, you put your hair down. You don't look so, you know what?
I think we accept you anyway.
We really do. Okay. Well, it looks like we're good for today. Thank you, Hailey, for volunteering to do this. And I will check on you Friday. Shannon's watching the chat. And of course, most of you on the call know how to reach out to me if you want to be on that reconnection. Angie, thank you for being with us. Akbar, thank you for joining from Southern London again. And
Yeah.
yay. Lisa, thank you. Asia, Jamie, always a pleasure. You guys are so inspiring in how you're living your life and reinventing. So thank you for being part of it. We'll see you next month. Bye.
Thank you again.
Thank you.